Oh man, it is this week's time to explain yourself. Will, explain yourself. What the hell have you done this week?
Nothing. I'm a sorry slacker.
Oh, that is beautiful. I've been working, man. I've been working. I've been doing what these two intrepid heroes are in the middle of. I've been getting the next Kickstarter prepped. So God bless you two. You're in the thick of it because it's like a month away, and I feel deluged. How are you both feeling? We have Honor Vincent and Adam Barnholt from the New Rat City and Moonspawn and the Defenders Kickstarter campaigns. What have you been doing this weekend? The weekend just started. Okay. I listen, I've been in like 90 universes today. I saw the Doctor Strange movie. I'm a little discombobulated. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but definitely, Adam, I talked about it before the show. I think definitely we were both go see it if you're an MCU fan.
For sure. Absolutely.
At the very least, I think there was an I love it and I liked it out of the two of us. So go see it, but you will get a little discombobulated by it. What have you been doing this week?
Being exhausted, man.
Nice.
Does that count? Just pure exhaustion. I'm officially at the point. Nice. 69 hours to go on the campaign.
Yeah.
I'm officially out of
Right.
From days to go territory to hours to go. I always forget how much work a Kickstarter project is, right?
Yeah.
You always say, I want to crowdfund my comic. I want to make this book, but then putting the campaign and running the campaign is actually tougher than making a comic book, which is absolutely insane because every comic's an absolute miracle if it comes together. But no, just working on this and smooth sailing, I suppose. Nice. Trying to write and trying to
write is definitely the. I go through pitches where I'll write for 2 weeks and then 6 weeks later I'm like, crap, I have done nothing on the creative side. Honor, what have you been doing this week?
I mean, I feel like we're all in the same boat a little bit of like, I have a little more time in my campaign, so I'm still in the days, not the hours left. But yeah, lots of just refreshing that page. Also, day job stuff, also trying to write and get some, I was talking about it with a friend today. I feel like I am very happy to be in a place with New Rat City where we're like doing our last campaign for it, and then it'll be like out in the world. And I can get back to my longer series that I've been working on for a while, but then another idea for another giant series creeps in and bothering you. And now it's like, I'm going to be juggling again for the rest of my life. Am I not? So.
That's, you know what? That's awesome though. When inspiration strikes, it can strike painfully, but God bless it. Well, we do at the beginning a little 30-second pitch, an elevator pitch. So Adam, if someone was walking past your booth at a convention, how would you get their attention about Moonspawn?
I would say just real quick, like a maniac, horror comedy superheroes. Now the podcast is called Explain Yourself, and in job interviews, when they make you say what's like your worst aspect or whatever, it's like explaining myself. That's the word. It's a branch of, so my first published work was Shit Show through Scout Comics. I always say my X meets Y is The Boys meets Shameless, and this is just like the horror comedy corner of that superhero universe. It's equally parts spooky and dumb toilet humor.
Nice.
Like my two genres just mashed together. So that's Moonspawn and the Defenders of the Dark.
So you were just going to love a Sam Raimi movie no matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. It's my favorite movie ever,
Yeah. All right. Honor, I will embarrass you. New Rat City, the first volume, has been like my most Kickstarter book that I've received this year.
Thank you.
I adored it. I thought it was amazing. I thought the writing and art were impeccable. So please pitch it to somebody. But if you are listening, no, I really like Shit Show, but I didn't get it as a Kickstarter. I got it from Scout. So I get to shine all of this on Honor. If you're listening to this, listen to this pitch.
how can the pitch live up to that? I would probably bark out from my Comic-Con table, do you love and or hate rats? Either way, we've got you. So near Rat City, it's an eco horror with some comedy and family drama thrown in. It's sort of my nightmare about what could happen to New York City in the near future if we don't get our shit together and prevent, flooding and abandonment and infrastructure collapse from hitting the city. Came from thinking about sort of what happens when humans move out of a place that is, like New York City, the rats and the roaches move in, and maybe some other less familiar stuff too.
We've got great news. If this pandemic has taught us anything, they are going to prove you prescient and right, because they're not going to get their shit together.
Right.
Doesn't feel like it, no.
There's going to be a statue of you singing with Manhattan. She said it.
Just going like this, shaking. God damn you. Yeah.
The I told you so statue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always wanted to be Cassandra, but not really.
Blake's buzz is in the chat. Blake says, fully ba, New Rat City is sick. I do want to say I was listening to Adam and Blake yesterday and this morning talk about it. So once you get through listening or watching this campaign, you find Blake's Buzz podcast and listen to Adam, because they really go in deep dark about Adam's like full on run through the shit show universe. So and Blake does a hell of an interview that Will and I are not going to even try to match. So I'm going to give a shout out to
just like the hot seat, man. I was sweating for 90 straight minutes.
He puts a spotlight on, but he does it with love.
Much love. A lot of love.
All right. Should we flip a coin? Who do we want to talk to first? Will, you want to pick?
I
always do this to Will just to make him look bad.
I don't know. We started with Adam, so let's go deep dive into New Rat City.
Sounds good to me. So as I pull up the page, Honor, you were telling us about how you're growing up, your own family life led into this book a little bit. So I'm going to pull up the page in case somebody didn't hear that campaign or didn't look at the page. How did you get into talking about the particular job of your lead character?
So it came from my dad's job when I was a kid. He was an exterminator. So that was, the story didn't start off with a lead character who's an exterminator. Kind of tried to write this one several different times in several different ways. And then I realized, both a really good narrator for something like this is somebody who would go into all the creepy, slimy corners and have an excuse to do that. And I kept thinking about kind of the world that was emerging here, where there were animal cruelty laws in place, so you cannot hurt any living being. And what would pest controllers do if they both had to balance like keeping the city safe for people and livable, and also not being able to kill anything? So that was another interesting tension that kind of came in. And I think that also came from my dad and kind of, watching him do his job while also knowing how much he loved animals. That was always kind of a big irony. So that's kind of where she comes from. She's a third generation pest controller. She kind of takes over the family business when her dad is knocked out by a rat-related accident. Spoiler, it's in the first issue, but that's kind of where she comes from.
And is this the exact same team for the first volume?
Yep. Yeah. Same team. So the series is being done through Kickstarter in 2 double issues. So we did the first campaign for part 1, which is the equivalent of issues 1 and 2. And then this campaign is done for part 2, the equivalent of issues 3 and 4. We're printing in double issues partly because Scout, a friend to us all, is putting the series out later this year as
okay.
And then
that's wonderful to hear. I didn't know that officially. I don't believe I heard there might be some communication, but I I'm not in that inner circle where I know things are actually happening, so I'm very excited.
Yeah,
Well, you have some really, really amazing covers here. I mean, your cover A, it's just beautiful. I mean, yeah, the George
yeah.
cover there. And then the other covers are, I mean, just beautiful too. I mean, is that something you went out looking for, or did that just kind of present itself? How did you? Sorry, I got a bug here.
Oh,
How
boy.
did you?
Somebody get an
What's
exterminator.
happening?
I need an exterminator. Yeah, there we go.
Oh,
How did you get in touch with your cover artists?
yeah, so George is the main artist on the book, and DC Alonso, who did the colors on 2 of these covers, is the main colorist, and I'd worked with them before on my other series. As I also worked with Unai, who did kind of cover B. So I am in communication with them a lot. I found them on Facebook, I think, and then through kind of an artist agent that they work with in Spain. So they're all just really wonderful people, and we keep in touch. So I thought of Unai immediately when I was like, all right, I want more variants here. And he was kind of getting back into the swing of things art-wise, and he was like, yeah, okay, yep, I'm excited about this. And then Lane, who did cover C and has done kind of a suite of covers for the series, including this really great one that I hope Scout's going to use, which is a big rat maw that we're doing a print of for the campaign too. I found them on Twitter and love their work, and emailed them one day out of the blue. That's really the beauty of the internet, and they're great.
Yeah.
So they're also illustrating. In our last campaign, we had a tier that was, you can pick a pest for Felicia to do battle with in a short story that we'll do in part 2. So Lane's illustrating that for the 2 folks who got that tier. So that's going to be a good one. That's only going to be in the Kickstarter book.
Yeah, they have such a wonderful, like unique style.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is like another, argument that we can add to the list, that only good things happen when you contact people on the internet, right?
Only it is, and you can also believe that the person contacting you is on the up and up as well. Now, I noticed these rats. What is the story behind these being made? I believe I have seen in an update that these are not factory-made rats.
They're not. I made them myself with my own hands. So I don't have enough to do is the problem. And I forget where I saw the first needle felted animals that I saw in my life, but I was like, those are really cool. I wonder how hard that is. And I looked up some tutorials, which like, this is a thing that happens to me often. And like, let me try, let me just see if that'll work. And this was many months ago. And yeah, I was like, you know what, this actually wasn't that bad. Like, I think I can get good enough that I feel like comfortable actually putting these up as a tier.
Right.
So that's where those came from, was me being like, very Elle Woods style, it's hard. Sure. So yeah, I added another rat to the campaign in honor of this evening, because we were sold out of them, but I've decided to do another one in case anybody wants one. So yeah, that's these little guys. So they're covered in the blue slime from the series. They're on metal armatures. They move, so you can kind of pose them. You can have them.
That's incredible.
Roll the comic if you want to.
We now know why you are exhausted.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Danny Morales of the Collective. Yeah, and these people know you, Danny.
Very well.
Well. And Ignacio is in the chat. Ignacio, how are you, buddy?
Hey, Ignacio.
Oh, and Shawnee. Shawnee was here for the beginning. Shawnee, I'm sorry we didn't say hello. Hope you're doing fabulous. We've got 2 awesome campaigns to talk about tonight. So this is 4 parts. It'll be done. How much is the catch-up tier in case somebody missed the first campaign? Because, as I said, you've got to get this series, people.
Yeah, so the digital catch-up for parts 1 and 2 is $12, and it's 120 pages of comic and artwork and short stories and stuff. And then if you want both issues, you have a bunch of different options. So you can get the cover you want of issue 2 as a tier, and those are $12. and then do the cover you want of issue 1 as an add-on. So that comes out to, I think, 23
Okay.
if you do it like that. Or you can get the works, which you get a bunch of extra stuff in there too. You get like a city map and a patch and stickers, and that is 28 for all that stuff.
Awesome. Is there a possibility that we could come back to this time and this northeastern part of the United States, because I don't want you to spoil if there will be a New York at the end of the series? Is there any possibility of coming back to this time? Because you did so much research. I kind of hope that there's a way to visit. But is there anything in the plans, or has this new idea taken all of the energy?
It's open. It's open for a sequel at the end. I figured why not, but I won't super give anything away. We definitely know more about what's going on by the end, but
okay.
It's definitely, there's a new potential villain and antagonist, and the city ain't down yet, but.
All right, you're speaking my language. That is great.
Like, it is a complete arc, in case you are frustrated by that kind of thing.
But I mean, yeah, that can happen in Kickstarters where you get a really great issue 1 and you got a really great issue 1. It has happened, and that can be rough. But you know what? We've all struggled to get our campaigns done, so I'm not casting aspersions at anybody. Yeah. So Danny says, seeing Adam on here reminded me to back Moonspawn. Now that is one that we are really taking credit for.
Explain
and we
yourself
actually
up.
Deserve.
Oh man, I have to pay out commissions. Oh, Danny, just wait like 30 minutes, please.
Yeah, the explain yourself bump is it's huge. You're riding the crest of our of our crew.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
My gosh, it is our pleasure. And I think, did we put up the New Rat City campaign? I'm trying to hide. Yeah, no, we didn't. Oh, well, let's get it up there so people can see. So Kickstarter.com, and if you just type in Honor Vincent for the name, or New Rat City Parts 1 and 2, you will find the campaign. And again, I don't want to embarrass you, but I just like sometimes you get a book and you're just like, okay, this book was made for me, and New Rat City was made for me. It had the future speculation that I could tell was well researched. You didn't lean on it so hard that the story wasn't engaging, and your art team is absolutely incredible. And I just think it's a fabulous comic, and I think everybody needs to go out and get it. And you've already got about as many backers as the first campaign, so with days to go. So I think that's the proof in the pudding right there.
Hope so. Yeah. And thank you very much. The art team is amazing, and I'm very, very lucky to both have found them and that they keep wanting to work with me on these weird books. So yeah.
I do have to say, there is a sense of jealousy on the lettering as well. I always want to reach out to Lucas about all of my projects. I'm like,
you should.
The best letterer in the game. One of my favorites. It's incredible.
He's a delight to work with too. Like, just super thoughtful about all of the choices that he makes. Like, really, he's a really, really good letterer.
Blake's Buzz says, get Andraste too. Well, let's talk about it real quick. That is your other book. This is also speculative, highly researched fiction, but instead of going forward in time, you're going back in time. I'm going to assume you can pick it up as an add-on in the campaign.
Yes. Yeah. I've got some of those trades left. So if you want, it's issues 1 through 3 planned out as a 12-issue series. So that's a longer one, but we will be coming back to it later this year. So if you do want to grab that.
And what would be the elevator pitch on that book? I read it and liked it, and I would be really embarrassed to try to remember exactly which war and which countries are involved, because I would. I'm thinking there's some Romans coming to England.
There you go.
But all right. I'm going to stop before I mess anything up. So you go ahead.
Yeah. So Andraste is the story of Boudica, who was a Britannic queen who fought the Romans off in first century Britannia. It is the story of her and her daughters, and also all of the kind of mythological underpinnings of their world and how all of that gets warped by the Roman invasion.
Yeah. So if you like your future speculation, New Rat City, if you like your historical speculation, Andraste. All right. Well, we're gonna table honor for right now, but please pop in whenever you've got a good question, Adam. Let's get into your shit. I know I was listening to Blake. It's not going to be the shit show universe, but
Right.
coming out of the book shit show.
Yes, from the pages of shit show.
Yes, which is your Scout Comics superhero comedy, kind of depressed because they aren't really the shit.
Very depressing. Yeah, it's terrible. It's just it'll put you in a bad mood. So
yeah, terribly depressing. Not a terrible comic.
Right.
Let's
terribly
say that
depressing. That's can I use that as a pull quote? Trade number
Please.
2, please.
Anytime. So, and you have an amazing link to get to the Kickstarter, bigscary.monster.
Bigscary.monster. So Moonspawn features a character named Zarya Moonspawn. Her father Rip is actually the world's biggest monster hunter, and she kind of realizes that, these monsters are beings we can have conversations with. I'm not quite sure we should kill them, So the story's about the rocky relationship she has with her father, and over the course of it, I'll say he gets an illness that causes him to make irrational decisions, which causes him to go into this alternate dimension. Of course, because you make irrational decisions. We each make questionable decisions sometimes, and Rip just so happened to make the decisions to climb into a world full of nightmares and bad people. Been there, done that, right? At one point,
you're calling that irrational. That makes perfect sense.
Right, it makes perfect sense. So what this is when I was writing Shit Show, I really like superheroes. I think we all really like superheroes, right? And that's the reason why comics are what they are. So I started writing short stories featuring superheroes, and that ended up in Shit Show Shorts, which is another Kickstarter thing that I'm doing on the side. But then I really wanted to make a horror team, a scary, spooky team. And we had all these short stories we were sitting on, so we wrapped them all together in one issue, and we have a framing story that ties them together. And that leads the Defenders of the Dark and Zarya Moonspawn into this alternate hellscape to find her father, who, doesn't really even know he's her father anymore. So it's crazy. It's very, very dark humor. There's some stories that are, almost Three Stooges, and then there are others that are really serious, like kind of like a Frank Miller Daredevil type. But those 6 stories, we actually unlocked one in the stretch goal. So this is a classic number 0. It does set up a 4-issue miniseries that will either get published or kickstarted at some point. We're working on it now, but this is just the launch pad into this story that's pretty terrifying, kind of funny, hopefully funny.
It's funny, you can write something scary and be pretty sure it's going to be scary, but you write something funny and it just kind of sits on the page until someone tells you, right?
Writing comedy is the worst. I hate it. I hate it. Everyone I think that's the thing. Everyone has different sense of humor, but everyone knows when something's sad, right? Unless you're a psychopath.
And then you're laughing at it.
Right. Yeah. Which is funny. Full circle, the circle of life.
Dying's easy, comedy's hard. Is that the old quote?
Yeah. So that's Moonspawn number 0. 6 different creative teams now. I think there's a carryover between 2 of the stories.
Will one of these creative teams be the since it's a classic 4-issue series, will there be a single team for those?
Yeah,
series?
we're actually Nicholas Santos, and he's actually working on Shit Show Volume 2 with me too. And he does the probably the grossest story in this one, where this thing can turn himself into multiple bugs and creepy crawlies and other gross stuff, which doesn't end up well for the bad guys.
That's the Three Stooges comedy one, right?
That's the Three Stooges one. Yes, the Niagara Falls of the Moonspawn.
Need to call an exterminator. Sorry.
Yeah, right. There we go. Crossover.
We got
Scout Comics Universe. We'll have Tart join in too sometime.
We got our patented themed show that Will and I didn't realize we had put together. So Danny had a question that kind of is very much like the question that I was going to ask. He's asking, a question I've always had for creators: why issue 0 and not number 1? And I'm going to piggyback with that. Is issues 1 through 4 going to follow the anthology type of a feel, or is it going to be one linear story?
So it's all one story. So actually, the number 0 at one point was the very first few pages of the miniseries, and we chopped that off, and that'll actually serve as the springboard. So issues 1 through 4. The only reason we did a number 0 was 1 through 4 is the same exact art team all the way through, and number 0 is just the teaser of sorts, I guess. But yeah, we are using one of the same art teams from the comic to launch the miniseries.
And to me, when I see, I've never written an issue 0, so I can't speak from the mind of a creator on that one. As a reader, I've always felt like when I see a 0, I'm seeing something that's setting up
Right.
a series, or I'm seeing something that somebody wrote after they'd already done 1 through 4, and their publisher said they needed to write another pilot.
Exactly. And that's essentially what this is. This is our backdoor pilot for
Okay.
this series.
Well, I'm going to bake Danny's noodle right now. What? No love for 1/2 issues, Danny? I mean, come on, man.
0.5, 1.5.
right.
That's where we're going to go.
I'm sure he sold a couple of those in his time at the collective. Well, this is kind of exciting we didn't do this, but we've got somebody who has a book with Scout and somebody who has a book coming out with Scout. Honor, have you? I'm guessing that Aristote wasn't published in comic shops, because it's the first 3 issues, and usually they only take something when it's an arc is complete.
Right. Yeah. I did bring it to my local store and was like, please, please put this on shelf. And they were very kind, and they did. But that's the only store it was in. So yeah, I think I'll probably, what I'm considering doing with that is, and this idea, Adam, that you're doing of having kind of a compilation of short stories, I really like that. And I'm like curious if you use that for character exploration, or you're kind of like testing different storylines. Like, are you going to then have like an arc that is the 1 and on? Is this sort of a
Right. No, so that's, I'm not sure as what my creator cred will do after I say this, but yeah, I do like to do the short stories and see how people react to it. I mean, for every short story, it's like Shit Show Shorts number 1, we had 4 or 5 in there, and our next Kickstarter is the novella, or the graphic novella based off of one of those stories. I think 70 pages it's going to end up being. And that's coming out later this year. But that's the thing. Every panel I've always been to, that the breaking in panel, at the convention and stuff, it's like, start small, do the 2-pager, or do a 1-pager or something like that. And then I did Shit Show, which was 3 issues to begin with, and now I can't stop. So I think maybe this is even a way to overcompensate about those anxieties or feelings I have that they said I needed to have. It's like, well, I am doing short stories. It's just part of something else. But no, to answer your question, yeah, I really like C2E2 last year. There was, I forgot the gentleman's name, but he came up to the table and was like raving about one of the characters in my book. And first of all, I was just completely gobsmacked. I'm like, oh wait, I did write about that character. And just so happens that that character is what we're doing for Kickstarter now. But yeah, I like just testing the water. You get something out, you see how you jive with the characters and their stories, and some work, and clearly a lot more do not work. Whether you don't like the character or the story or where it's going.
Right, but I mean, you have the experience of someone coming to you that not only did you not have to sell on the book, but he brought to you his favorite part. So I mean, let's celebrate an enormous win with that story. That's amazing.
That went that's to my head now. That's all I'm gonna do is spin-offs of that one character.
Yeah.
So this guy's gonna be thrilled. This one person that bought a comic once, he's ecstatic. Sorry, I don't remember your name.
They say to pick your perfect avatar and write to that avatar. You've got a guy. You don't have to have an avatar. You've got a guy. So.
I have a guy. He's probably signed up to my email newsletter even. So just a super fan. Hasn't started any hashtags yet, so I'm not sure if he is a super fan, but we'll see. We'll get there.
Well, you just brought up something really interesting. I mean, I know Kevin sends out a newsletter because I'm on it. I stalk him pretty regularly. I send out a newsletter. You mentioned you send out a newsletter. I mean, Honor, do you have a new? I think I'm on your newsletter as well. So I think we're all doing newsletters. Is that right?
Yeah, I do have a newsletter. I've kind of recently consolidated because I had a blog and a newsletter, and then I went for Substack. And I just decided to put everything there because you can basically have a website built off of your newsletter. It's pretty cool.
That's nice. I think that's where I saw the rats. I couldn't remember if it was a Kickstarter update but now that I think it was the newsletter. But I think they're really an amazing way to kind of remind yourself that you're doing this for people. You can get into your own head and be like, I'm just just for us, Ludo and I and the team, but they're people who are excited to hear about it. You're like, oh, I should remember to talk about this exciting thing that is happening, which is what I think the newsletter helps me about. What do you guys find helpful, or what's the hardest part about a newsletter that you guys put together?
Getting people to sign up. I even tried to bribe, like I said, at C2E2 was the week or two before Christmas. And I'm like, okay, so we're going to have candy canes, and they can take a candy cane if they sign up for the email newsletter. But what I did think was that everyone was bringing their children, and then the children would flop on the ground in a temper tantrum if they couldn't have a candy cane. So that quickly went out the window by noon on Friday.
So what you're saying is you have a highly inappropriate email list now of like 97-year-olds.
Yeah. I didn't think it through because at the time with Shit Show, my email newsletter was called the Shit List. So that combined with the free candy, I'm just kind of like blurring a bunch of lines that it probably shouldn't be. So
you know what? They got to learn sometime.
Yeah, I didn't have a free candy sign or anything, so that's probably good.
Well, it wasn't free. You need to give your email over.
Right.
You didn't show up in a van, did you?
Yeah, and it was white too. So.
Oh, okay.
No, we're good with that. But
you know what? Live the stereotype. What is the best and worst part for you, Honor?
I think the best part is I like to think it's like a better medium for me than social media. I don't like Twitter. I don't like those. I don't want to be on it all the time, and Instagram too. It's just like too much. But I like actually sitting down and writing a long newsletter. And the hardest part is actually making time to write a good one. Like I want to write a good one. I don't want to just be like, here's my stuff. Here's the link every time. So that it just, it takes time. But I think something I've kind of struggled with a little bit and have decided not to give a shit about is like, well, what's my personal brand here? It's like, can I talk about my weird mythological history fantasy book and also New Rat City and also the other stuff I'm working on? It's like, yeah, there's no rules. Like, it's fine. There's a lot of advice floating around that you've got to brand yourself. But I
You
think,
got to niche down. You got to niche down and then niche down again.
yeah, I just want all the niches.
But I'm not a very niche person. What are you talking about?
Right. Yeah, but I had, like, you're talking about C2E2, Adam. I went to Comic-Con for the first time I've been many times, as I had a table last year, and it was so good compared to like trying to call out to the masses on the internet, like just actually being able to talk to people about the books, because a lot of people would come over and they'd know who Boudica was, and that was great. There's a guy who like asked me to ship him a book and then sent me a bunch of emails about this other like figure from Irish mythology who was like this badass pirate queen. So like now I made a friend. It's like, it's so nice. I like that kind of longer form. Like you actually establish, it feels like a discussion with people.
My first email I sent out, I worked on it really, really hard, and I sent it out, and after about an hour, there's two stories to this, but the funnier one is I got an email back from Russell Nolte. Hey, really good email. There's like 9 calls to action in there. Maybe you could have sent 9 emails over the next 9 weeks. Let's remember that. All right, okay. Because I was like, well, if I'm going to email people, I got to really like make it worth their while. I realize you don't have to be.
Well, you both mentioned cons. Were you both doing cons, pre-pandemic, and then now they're starting to come back, I guess. So how's that kind of been?
That was my first one as a pro writer. That was my first time ever tabling, so I had no idea what to expect. I didn't feel right being there quite yet, and I don't think anyone else there felt like being there. I have another one coming up in 2 weeks, Des Moines Con, which is probably going to be a lot smaller than the Chicago one.
Can I ask, are because of the pandemic, you didn't feel like being there, or what was?
Yeah, it was mostly pandemic related. I mean, at the time, the mandates were still there and stuff, and then every time someone coughed, every single table and artist alley brought out their hand sanitizer and things like that. So it's just like
straight up the nose,
right? Pretty much, yeah. Everyone's doing just shots of hand sanitizer. I don't know. I think it's the learning curve 2 years into a pandemic. I mean, conventions, Reed Pop still has to make money, so it's not like conventions can go away, and I know we're still in the pandemic, but, I think at least here, I live in Iowa, so it's not like most people thought we had a pandemic anyways.
Yeah.
But it's still a weird time, but
yeah.
We'll get it, I think.
I did miss this one. Blake says that Niche Guys finished last.
Perfect.
I've only done 2 small shows since the pandemic. One I was just really opening up, and I agreed to do it, and then Delta came out, and I was like, what should I do? And I asked them, and they put me out in a hallway. So I was like one of like 3 tables in the entire hallway, just because I'm more careful than your average bear about this. And that was cool because you were never like too much. But the last one I did was in a small hotel, but definitely the numbers were down. It was, it was Omicron, which is not as dangerous as Delta, way more communicable, but not as dangerous per. So I felt pretty comfortable. I'd say 70% of people were wearing masks. I wore mine, but I didn't feel like the weirdo wearing a mask, which is kind of what I ask now is just don't make me feel like a weirdo. I'm weird enough without feeling like it. But I think most people are pretty. We all know about con crud before COVID, so I want to wear the mask for that. I mean, forget this evil pandemic. I don't want to feel like crap like I always did anyway.
That's how I feel about the subway now. It's like this is fine. I was like wondering before New York Comic Con where I really didn't see anybody not wearing masks there. Like myself, I heard about it, but I think I only even heard of one person personally who tested positive, which is kind of wild. But they were really careful. It was kind of nice in that usually New York Comic Con's like a mosh pit everywhere. You could actually walk and kind of take your time and talk to people. But yeah, I was wondering if everyone was going to be extra weird because they had not had any human contact in several years.
Right.
So it's like, what am I walking into? Am I extra weird now? Like, are we all just going to be like, ooh, at each other? But I think everyone was like very happy to be there, and it was sweet. And yeah, I tabled with my buddy who I had like never met in person, and like that was cool. So it was fun.
Cool. So you guys both had basically your first con. Like, so how were the books received? Did people give you? Were you happy with how they were received? Did you realize, oh crap, I got to go back and work out a pitch? You know, what was your first experience? Because I can tell you, I walked out my first day at SuperCon down here alone, and I said to myself, "Oh, I've wasted my life." Comic book guy came into me, and I went home, and I was depressed for 5 hours, and I was like, well, you're going back tomorrow, so you just better do better.
Yep.
You know, and I'm still doing it. So what was your thoughts?
So I was wheeling in my stuff, and I look at the table right next to me, and it's Bob and Kevin. Bob France
cool.
and Kevin
Nice.
Koff. I'm like, oh, sweet, I know those people. But then, like, across from them, I see Rob Liefeld's name. And then right by Rob Liefeld was Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda.
Oh, they're wonderful though.
Oh, they're
Did
amazing.
you get to?
They were
yeah.
amazing.
I mean, I've never met Rob, so I don't know anything about how he interacts with people. But Jimmy and Amanda couldn't be nicer to those of us trying to be. Yeah.
And then to my other side was Jay Lee. So I'm like looking around, and the Metal Shark Bros just won a Ringo. I'm like, I don't think this is my table. But no, I didn't know what to expect, so it was great.
Did you have like lingering lines for these people that were stuck
All
having
the
to
time.
look at your books?
Jay was backed up with commissions. He was working, and everyone was like just chilling in front of my table. So I'm trying to be like, free candy, and
free candy, little boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't say little boy and little girl after that. That's your biggest mistake.
Right. And then no, it was great though. Everyone was really busy, and it was a good time. Yeah, like of course I tables at those type of things are way more than the local ones, and hotel and all that stuff. So I didn't make any money, but I made some back, and hey, I wanted to sell a comic. I was just being a smartass to everyone I was with. I'm like, I just want to sell one comic, and I sold more than one comic. So you know.
So every success was another 100%.
I was floating on cloud 9 after that first comic. It was just the fear. I'm like, okay, someone come and buy a comic. And then someone did. And then someone came and bought 2 comics. And then someone came and bought 3. And then someone came and bought everything on my table plus the trade paperback. And it's like, yeah, what?
How about you, Anna? You said you got to table with your buddy.
Yeah. And I feel like my husband was joking. He was like, I feel like you came home every night and you were like, would debrief me and then be like, okay, and here's what I'm going to do tomorrow. Like I was like kind of trying to take notes. And so my friend is JL Johnson, who has, and he had The Rule of 9. He had which is another kind of fantasy book. So that we kind of made sense as a table, and his friend was next to him who has another kind of cool fantasy adjacent book, and those two were so good at flagging people down, and I'm not good at that, but they were like, hey, you come over here. And they would kind of go to that half of the table, and then I'd be like, hi, can I interest you in maybe this book perhaps? And I think from them I kind of learned to actually speak up a little bit and wave to people and bring them in, because I would feel shy and weird doing it the first day, but then it's like, your 8-year-old self would kick your ass if she knew you were ooh, behind your table, shut up. So yeah, there were some pep talks that had to happen behind my mask to myself a little bit. It's it's okay.
You guys did start off with 2 of the biggest shows in the world too. You did,
yeah.
To me, I started off with a big show with SuperCon, which is 30,000 people. You guys started off at C2E2 with which probably has 150 for the weekend, and New York Comic Con at one point had beat San Diego for people coming in. I don't know COVID the numbers. You said it's not a mosh pit, which is nice because then you can actually talk to most of the people. When it's a mosh pit, you're just like, there's 9 people going by and you're trying to figure out which of the 9 is most likely to like your book,
Yeah, like make eye contact with somebody. But yeah, I sold books. I was really happy about that. And I didn't have anything from New Rat City at that point. So I printed a bunch of ash cans for that because the Kickstarter was running at that point. And my goal was to give all, 150 of these away to people who stopped by. And I was able to do that with the help of a friend who ran around on the last day and just started throwing them at people. But
did you run into people who wouldn't take it for free? Because I've had free stuff that I couldn't give away at cons.
There were a handful of people, and I think there were very few people, and I get it. Like I'll do that sometimes because also like as a New Yorker, if somebody tries to flag me down the street, it's just like fuck you. It's in my bones. I can't not do that. But there were a few people, but I think I kind of at one point I was like, really? Like it's please, and they felt bad and took it. And it was like, all right, that's fine. It's rats. I get. Not everybody wants that. It's okay. I'll remember.
But it's about an exterminator. I mean, like you said, you've got them either way.
Yeah.
You like rats? Oh, I got these cute rats. And then there's something going on. You don't like rats? Well, they're opening up for 1 week. They can kill rats.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, let's put both of the campaign links up one more time. I wanted to. And New Rat City, just like New Jack City, but replace Jack with a rat, and you're set on it. Parts 1 and 2, you're going to get 4 comics. Like I said, definitely catch up on this book. It's excellent. And Big Scary Monster will get you to the Moonspawn and the Defenders #0 anthology. So how did you decide which art teams to reach out to, Adam?
I had worked with most of them before, like so Nicholas Santos, he does the Bug Story. He's doing Shit Show 2, like I said, an anthology we're working on right now. Roland's, we're doing the Kickstarter later this year. Who else? Hernan Gonzalez, he does the For Sale Haunted House one, and we're working on a pitch right now. I'm super hyped about that, and if that comes out, it'll be good. Who else is on there? All the cover artists that I've worked with before, like Juan Angel. He's done so much stuff for me. He does we do I call it visual development type pieces. We just do like character portraits, so I have something to look at while writing. And then it got to the point where we had so many of them. I'm like, this is incredible artwork. Let's just turn it into variant covers and stuff. And his variants on Shit Show 1 was a retail exclusive, and the other one was the best selling variant we had. So nice. Yeah, we kind of struck gold with that one. But yeah, it's incredible. Social media is the worst thing on earth, but it's awesome for finding like collaborators, right? Like search like the hashtag comic jobs. I spoke with Lucas through Twitter, and we were working on something at one point. But it's just as long as you run around the right circles, right, and avoid the bad hashtags and the bad people, it's decent.
We do our best to avoid the bad people if we can. That's not always successful, but we definitely do our best.
They come out of the woodwork. They find you.
Yeah. One thing I think I forgot to ask, Adam, within the Kickstarter, can people get the Scout comic editions of Shit Show?
Yeah, we have. We don't have single issues, but you can buy the Shit Show 1 trade. Okay. And the thing about this I say it's all in universe, but it's all very Hellboy-esque and the Mignola universe where everything's a self-contained story. You might have like an Easter egg here or there, but like Moonspawn, 1 through 4 is going to be self-contained. Shit Show Volume 1 self-contained. The second one coming out through Scout, Keepers of the Cosmos, is self-contained. Yeah, it's you can buy Shit Show Volume 1 as an add-on on the Kickstarter now, or wherever comics are sold.
But that's a way to consolidate shipping. You're already paying the shipping for one. Knock it out and get it all.
Right. Yeah. Might as well.
All right. Well, I want to thank you guys very much. I like I said, I went to the movies today, and that movie was fun and exhausting.
Right.
So I'm before my bulletproof coffee that I had at 8:00 goes away. I'm going to say thank you. I heard Brandon Ruth talking real big about it, so I at Whole Foods, I just was like, oh, marketing. I'm going to jump on it because Superman told me to. But I don't feel focused. I don't feel like the butter encapsulated the caffeine like I was hoping it would. So before I crash and do terrible things like Chuck Pino says, bad people suck. I had a bumper sticker on my car in college that just said mean people suck. And somebody kicked out the brake light on my fender. And I was like, that's kind of a funny bit because that person was mean and they sucked. So I had to appreciate the humor of that as I was going to buy a new brake light. Mean people do fucking suck. All right, Chuck, thank you for tuning in. I think this is a day after, but happy birthday, buddy. Chuck
Happy birthday,
Pino,
Yeah, happy birthday, Chuck.
I think it was the 5th, but I'm not sure. So love you, buddy. And I hope it was a great celebration with the family. Ignacio, no, thank you for the weekly joining and making our night. So this is where we always say that it's going to fall off a cliff, but it's not a high cliff this week because we don't have a ton of campaigns. And I'm going to grab the first one because Madeline Holly Rosing's steampunk historical fiction where she grabs figures that you've all heard about, like Harry Houdini, Nikolai Tesla, Alexander Graham Bell, etc. Create a team to fight ghosts, and they're not even the stars of Boston Metaphysical Society. There's 3 others who are the stars. So just a fun. What's the Alan Moore one where they take historical fictional characters? Extraordinary Gentlemen.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, yeah.
Yes, except these are real people. And Madeline is just a saint in the Kickstarter community. So if you have not read Boston Metaphysical Society, grabs volume 1 and 2 in this campaign because it's fabulous.
And that's it.
Is JD done?
JD's finished.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've got several other in the list that are perhaps coming in coming weeks. I don't know, but yeah, Boston Metaphysical is it.
So I've got good news, Adam. We can't screw yours up next week because you're in the hours left.
Yep.
So we can't mess yours up next week. We'll be able to mess up New Rat City. We'll get one chance to screw it up. Next week we do plan to have James Powell from the House of Fear, a horror anthology series, but it's horror for young, like middle school grades. I think even some 4th, 5th grade type stuff, but we'll find out better. So House of Fear, which is a fabulous group of books, and then we got other people planned, but I don't have that up right now. I think I forgot to back them. Oops. So
we'll get them back eventually.
We'll get them back. There's going to be more than just James next week. Thank you, everybody. Yes.
Sacrimony.
Oh, yes. Oh, Meta's going to be back with Sacrimony 3 or 4 now.
I think it's 3 or maybe it is 4, but she's launching like in 3 or 4 days, maybe. Hang on, and I can find out for sure. Let's see. She is number 4.
I have Sacrimony 3 in my hand, so this has to be Sacrimony 4 coming.
Number 4. I think it launches.
You gotta love it when people deliver their Kickstarters before they launch the next one. That's the way to do it.
That's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
So yes, Meta will be with us, and just Thank you, everybody. Blake says, I'm 36 and loved all of the House of Heroes. So thank you, everybody. We will catch you next week. Honor, Adam. It was fabulous to have you with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming
Thanks
on.
for having us.
Yeah.